Well, hello there my friends, welcome back to the Scott Reed Project, and today it is Pig Club Part 3. So in Part 1 then, we had that whole pig, me and Ollie, we had half each. We also had the pluck, the liver, lungs, hearts and so forth. And in Part 1 I prepared those offals ready for faggots, which I made in Part 2. And also in Part 1 I cut up the carcass ready for our bacon, our sausage and our raw pork cuts. But what you did see me do in that video was prepare the head. So in Part 3 we are going to be making good old brawn, literally turning brains into brawn. So what we got is a pig's head cut into 4. Now the reason I've cut that into 4 is just to get it into the container. We've also got in there a little trotter. This we need for when we boil this all up to make some natural gelatin, so the head will all stick together pretty much. It's what I like to call pig glue. So let's just have a look what we got then. Now I could have taken the cheeks off of this head, but it was a smallish pig, so I wanted to get as much meat into the pot as possible. That, if that was brined and cooked, skinned and breaded, would be a classic old Bath chap. Basically the lower jaw and the cheek, and obviously the top end, the snout. I've took the ears off, I'm saving that for a separate dish. But it's time to get on and make this. Now you can make this straight off if you want to. Put this in your pot with your liquor, your vegetables, your herbs, your spices, whatever you want to do. Obviously boil the bejesus out of it, and when it falls off the bone, press it, it will be fine. But the thing is, without giving it a cure, you will not get that lovely traditional pink colour. So what we need to do with this then is make up a lovely brine. Now for my brine, I've been looking at a lot of old traditional recipes. I've actually written it down here. So for mine, I'm going to be using 6 litres of water, 3 pounds of salt. I've got 3 ounces of demerara sugar there. And then we're going to be putting in about 10 grams of crushed juniper berries, 10 grams of coriander. Now, I know you're thinking, well, you've got some in pounds, some in grams. The thing is, the amounts are so small that they will not register as ounces. So unfortunately, you know, we've got to go gram ounces. And I know it's a bit confusing, but I will put it all in the notes. And then, of course, the magic piece that makes it all work is an ounce of saltpeter. So what we're going to do then, we'll get over to the stove, we'll get this water boiling away, and we'll begin concocting our beautiful brine. I can't wait. How's that for a nice clear shot? I bet that's like you're standing right by the side of me. Fantastic. So basically a brine, obviously your water, and we need to put in our ingredients and just let them melt into the water. So in first with the salt, just stirring till it starts to dissolve. So basically what we're going to be doing is filling this up with all our ingredients, and then we're going to bring it to quite a rapid boil, and then boil it for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we let it cool completely, and only then we will put our meat in. But what we need to do as well is to measure the salinity, and for that we will be using a brine-ometer. So A Brawn wants to be between 60 and 70%. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera there. Can you see? Basically, you know, like a wine hydrometer, drop it in, floats like a fisherman's float, and it will stop at your desired, is the plan, percentage. Now we are looking for 60%. So once we've got all our ingredients in there and we've dissolved it all, we'll take a quick reading before we cool it. If not, we'll just judge what needs adding to it. So into there then, I'm going to put my 3 ounces of Demerara sugar. Again, thousands of recipes for brines. You can use whatever sugar you want. Demerara, Muscovado, even granulated if you have to. But not too much. I mean, it seems hardly any considering the amount of water, but that's all you need, to be honest. So I can feel some granules down at the bottom there. So just gently swirling it around, and then into that I'm going to add my juniper berries. I said about 10 grams, but as you can see there, I'd say that was 2 tablespoons, just lightly bruised. That's coming together nicely. And then the saltpeter, what I do with mine is I just fill it up with a bit of water, just swirl it around and let it begin to melt and dissolve. As you can see, we've got it all from there, nice and clean. And then a good pinch of ground coriander, and if you've got some pimenton you could put that in, but that is pretty much your basic brine. Now I will be using this brine as well in a later video to do some classic traditional ox tongues. This is just a good basic brine you could use for bacon even, so it's a good one to have in the armoury. Right, I can feel that all those sugars and salts have dissolved. It's just a case of lighten the afterburners and let it boil away. Okay then, so we've given that a good boil up. What we need to do now is let this cool down, but before we do that, like I said, we'll just take a measurement. We want a 60% saline mixture. So let's get a jug, living on the edge, put in hot water into a plastic container. Is it gonna melt? Hey, it's one crazy cat. Right, joking aside, better act quick. So in we go. Bobbing, bobbing, bobbing. I don't know if you can see that reading there. I'm looking for 60%. Look at that. If we can come in a little bit more. Bang on the money, baby. That's ready to go. So once your brine has cooled completely, you want to pour it into a suitable size container. Now you want to make sure that there's plenty of room to take what you're brining. I don't need to tell you that this will raise considerably once all this is in here. but that is absolutely perfect. Now, obviously I made a 6 litre brine. This is a 14 litre container. It's absolutely spot on. And there they are. Now, you might want to put a plate on top of this, which is what I'm going to do to weigh it down. Now, you do want a plastic container. Don't be tempted to put it in anything metal. Obviously, you're going to end up with a right mess because it will react with the metal. So, a nice strong plastic container. One plate. That should keep it all down. Look at that. And then it's a case of lid on, in the fridge, and forget about it for 7 days. It's the waiting game again. Hey-ho. Okay, my friends, the wait is over. It's so hard, this waiting malarkey for this bacon and all these small goods. It's really, really hard not to just take it out and do it, but be patient. So after 7 days then, this pig's head has been in this lovely brine. Have a look at the colour of that. And there's our pig's head emerging. Now, we won't chuck this brine away. What we'll do is we'll take a measurement of it and we'll adjust it using our brinometer. And then what we'll do is we'll get some bacon in it. Now, you can reuse your brine as long as you look after it. It's nice and clean. So what I would do is I will filter this, like I said, take a reading, balance it back up and get some bacon in. But in the meantime, it's all about this. Next step then is we're going to give this a good wash in some cold water and then obviously get it on to cook. And then this turns from what is basically a bowl of gory head into an absolutely beautiful brawn. And because we've brined it with that saltpeter, it'll have that lovely pink tinge. So I'll get this washed off, get it dried, we'll get it in the pot, and we'll just add a few aromats, and yeah, the process begins. Okay, nicely washed off. It's a case of putting it in a pot big enough. So we're going to get our head in first, obviously. Then that pig's trotter, which will help make the natural gelatin, which will set our brawn. Now, you can fill this up with water and put the usual carrots, onions, celery, maybe a bit of bay leaf in there, a few juniper berries, peppercorns, which is what we are going to be doing. But I've got this lovely ham stock here. Now, my mate Mark Rooney thinks this is gold, so it's going in there. And I will top the rest up with some cold water. So we want the head completely covered, like that. Next, we are going to add our mirepoix, which is the classic trio, like I said earlier, of carrot, onion and celery. So in with what Keith Floyd would call the Holy Trinity. Beautiful. Then just a couple of bay leaves. And just a little handful, maybe a teaspoon of peppercorns. Some parsley and a little bit of thyme. Now that's all dressed up, ready for the ball. So it's over to the stove, fire it up, and just let it tick over for 2 or 3 hours until that meat is falling off the bone. Very exciting. It's going like a good one. So what we need to do then is turn that down, because we just want that ticking over. And it's a case of just letting it do its thing for about 2-3 hours. You want it so it's completely falling off the bone, and then we can work some magic. Give me some head, baby. So that's that brine, which I've just took the brawn out. If you remember, I put it in at 60. It's actually matured to 70%, which is just ideal. You could actually take your brawn out now and filter off any of the gunk, and then get some bacon in at 70% and do a wet cure. That is just perfect. Look at that. Okay then, so that head is just off the boil. Have a look at it. It's beautiful, isn't it? So what we need to do is get this all off the bone and sort through it. Oh, look at it. It's beautiful. Falling apart it is. You want to try and catch it just at this moment before it completely falls apart. As you can see there, look. And there's that trotter. That would have made all the beautiful natural gelatin. Better teeth than me. Look at that. And with the liquor, we will strain it and reduce some of it real quickly and make some proper sticky, icky pig glue. Right, that needs sorting. And so, does that bad boy. Okay then, let's do this. So I've got the obligatory bowl of cold water by the side, because it's red hot. One lower mandible, I think it is. Well, you just got to get in there and begin exploring. As you can see, it just pulls straight off. Look at that. Red hot, man. Red hot. Now it's entirely up to you how much of the fat you want to put in. Predominantly years ago, they put loads of rind in. But like I said, when I originally did the pig, I wanted to leave the meat in the cheek purely because, you know, it gives a good content. So it's not all fat and gristle, I suppose. There's an eyeball there. Aye, aye. Let's get the old doobers in there, scrape it out. So once we've got the bones out, basically, we will give it a good once over, sort out what we want in our finished brawn. Just let it cool slightly so we can really give it a good old rummage. I mean, I just love this. So therapeutic. I mean, look. Awesome. Get my hands in. Oh, it's hot. Right, I'm going to continue fettling this. And before you know it, we'll be back with a bowl of funk. So, as you can see in my bowl then, there's all the meaty part, there's all the skin and the fatty part. Now, by all means, you know, judge it as you seem fit. But like I said, bearing in mind, years ago, they put the whole lot in. Mine's just a slightly refined version. And another thing they used to do years ago was they would put this through the mincer on a very coarse plate. But I kind of like to just mush my hands through it and break it up. I may chop into the skin bits a bit with a knife, but we're just breaking it down, and then we will season it up. Just smash through it. Doesn't matter if you have some big bits, some small bits. This is old school, baby. Wibbs, come here a minute, love. Just unplug that off me. Look.
Wow. You make him.
So that's a pig's head in there. Now I imagine that some of you watching this have not bought into it yet. But trust me, stick with me. We are going to turn this sow's ear, quite literally, into a silk purse. Who needs an electric mincer? Chopping through it. Simple, baby. Right, we want to get this seasoned while it's still warm, because meat takes seasoning better when it's warm. Very many different spices we can use. Obviously salt, white pepper, then you can use cayenne pepper, ginger, cinnamon, mace, nutmeg, whatever you fancy. They were all traditionally used in different areas of the country, but I'm going to stick with my own unique blend. Right, what's that taste like? So nice. It's just so good. Trust me, you could put that in a press now and it will be perfect. Bearing in mind that brine had quite a bit of salt and pepper in, so do try it before you go any further. I think that's pretty much spot on, so I'm going to add a bit of cayenne. How annoying is that noise? And a little bit of mace, then a little bit of ginger, just a tiny bit, and then this lemon juice cut through it. Just give that a mix up, see where we are. There's my fork, let's have a go on it. Oh God, yeah, that is spot on. That weren't a bad guess, maybe a little bit more. Oh, cayenne. Now also remember the rule that when you're making products cold, you do want to pretty much make sure you've got plenty of seasoning in there, because as it cools down it mellows. So just make it slightly over seasoned to the point where you think, oh man, I put too much in. You know, you've got to find that sweet line, and then when it cools down, it will all mellow. So next we want to get some of that liquor on there, the pig glue in with it. I'm going to get it from the stove. Perfect. So yet another vintage bit of kit. This is one of those, I think it's Tala, T-A-L-A presses. Absolutely perfect size for my Brawn. Let's get it in there. Let's not stand on ceremony. Look at that. Like a glove. All that piggy goodness. Right, excuse the wobble. Look at this old Funk Star Deluxe. Now don't bitch and moan about the kit. I mean, this is 60 odd years old and it works perfectly. And it's still safe. So do not panic, my friends. Right, I need to find the top and the doobry. That's the official term, is the doobry. So top on, doobry on, find the middle, and then just gently let it just tighten up. Find the middle. Do you know what? I think that's perfect. Maybe down a little bit more. And that goes in the fridge for 24 hours. What a great bit of kit that is. Let's see who gives it a thumbs down. There's always one. We know who you are. Well, the moment of truth has finally arrived. Always a testing moment, this. You never know what you're going to get. It's like a Russian doll. Wow. Gelatin's worked all right. That's a fact. We may have to, then again, may not. Gentle. Then we just peel the top off. Again, let's get a knife on that. Just slide it under. I mean, that gelatin has stuck really well. Obviously that liquor with that pig's trotter in there, but have a look at that. I have to do this. It's law. Oh wow. Just have a look at that. How glorious is that? that grotesque pig's head is now turning into this wonderful, wonderful brawn. Now, I'm only doing this because it needs doing, honest, but so good. So, so good. Ooh. On a bit of crusty bread with a bit of mustard, that's a win-win. Now, if only we had something to slice it on. Let's see what I've got. My beautiful vintage Hobart slicer. Have a look at this. It's just a wonderful piece of kit, and I think the Brawn needs to go on it. You have to excuse that camera down there. It's just a wonderful piece of machinery, and it's still working. So let's get the Brawn on and slice some. There you go. Totally original. Let's see if we can get that label in for you. Right, let's do this. So I've been doing this channel now for 7 years, and I've kind of took it on myself when I can and when I can afford it to buy this beautiful vintage kit. You know, it just seems a shame that there's loads of this stuff gets scrapped or just chucked away. And you know, it's part of the heritage. It's part of my heritage, the butchering heritage. And I will, as long as I can, continue to do this because, you know, nothing makes me more happier than using this fantastic old kit. Right, I shall set the plate. A bit noisy. There you go, can't be out. And we'll just take a slice off. And another one. Just have a look at that. Absolutely beautiful, that is. That machine is just an absolute gem. So we'll take one more slice. Just like that. You can see that there. And we'll get it in a sandwich. So to me, this is like stepping back in time. I mean, I've been in the butchery trade now for 32 years. Oh look, real butter. Can't beat it. You know, and when I started out, we used these slicers, not as old as this, you know, and it was just part of the job. And it kind of brings back a lot of memories of the trade. But, you know, the main thing is, we bought that pig, we've taken the pig's head, we've made this fantastic product, we've sliced it on a vintage slicer, and now we're going to eat it the old school way in a beautiful roll. It's just amazing. I bet you thought I forgot that, didn't you? Hey? Welcome to the yellow side. That is good enough to bring it a tear to an old butcher's eye. It's just beautiful. Anyway, if you've enjoyed what you're seeing here today on the Scott Reed Project, please click subscribe when my face comes up down here. Also find me on my social media, 2 pages, Facebook, Scott Reed, the Scott Reed Project, on my Twitter at the Scott Reed Project, on my Instagram on the Scott Reed Project. I think you'll find the icons down here in the show bar. What a name, show bar. description. Also, if you want to help this channel along, please do check out my Patreon page. But that's it. We have turned gore to gorgeous, and we have literally made a silk purse out of a sow's ear. And thank you for staying with me. I know it's a bit of a long haul, but I tell you what, it's an absolutely fantastic transformation and skills you will very rarely see nowadays. Anyway, if you would like to see a video on all my vintage kits, I've got tons of stuff, slicers, presses, old knives, a lot, leave a comment below. But until next time, I'm going to enjoy this trip down memory lane with this beautiful Brawn roll. Take care, my friends.